Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Judy Kopenbarger Money Truth Moments. We're here with our expert, Judy Kopenbarger, and our money whisperer as well too. so, uh, folks, welcome. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judykopenbarger.today. We are here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with the replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And if you've been following along, we started 2024 with a bang. We started off talking about financial planning, a lot of great content. So make sure you look at some of the previous videos as well too, so you can catch up a little bit. But good morning, Judy. I didn't even say good morning to you. I'm so excited about today's show. It's like, wow.
This is one of my favorite topics too. Today's going to be great. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you tell? I'm like ready to jump right in, right? So
I am too. Let's go.
all right. So folks, if you're just joining us today, we have a very, very special subject today. We're going to be talking about financial planning for future generations. And I think this is a topic that everyone has had a question, has wondered, has asked my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, my brother, my sister, and so forth. But today you get to hear Judy talk about exactly what that looks like. And what do you say we get started with a first question?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So let's talk about how you define financial planning for future generations, within the family context.
Yeah, it is so natural for me. It's kind of one of the ways I'm wired to think about the future. I'm a planner. I like to plan and kind of work through what are the contingencies, what could happen, what would we do if that thing happened? Just have all the little kinks worked out before it happens. I guess I've been knocked around enough that I like to try to prevent pain when I can. But as a planner, it's all about the future, right? It's my future. It's our kids' future. It's the future of the family. I love this whole premise of legacy. And, we have 5 kids and grandkids on the way, and our little family tree is growing. And I just love the idea that they get to stand on our shoulders and our ceiling becomes their floor, next generation. And if we teach them that that's a good thing, and it's not just financial, right? This is just, life lessons, everything in life. If we teach them that our ceiling can be their floor, what happens a generation or two from now if they just keep teaching their children and they teach their children that? That's how you see these families that have this generational wealth, this generational legacy. Businesses that last 100 years, family businesses, right? Others don't, they implode. The mission statement fails, the vision fails. You end up with a generation that is entitled because they didn't really understand how it works and how work works. But all
Right.
these, we have an opportunity, and that's what I get to do day in and day out with the families that I work with. It's help them not only survive. Some people are in surviving mode because they're a reboot, but to thrive, and not just thrive until you die, but have something built that someone can build upon, whether it's a business empire, a real estate empire, just wealth, whether it's creating a legacy for education forever, for music forever, for travel forever, for charitable causes forever, putting that in place now so the generations can enjoy that and live into that purpose is huge. And it's a really big part of the fulfillment that I get in my work.
So tell us a little bit about. So you mentioned some key things on there, but talk about when you're dealing with new clients, potentially maybe even old clients. What are some of the key components in a financial plan, right? Benefiting multiple generations.
Yeah. Well, it's usually a protective stance. There's offensive and defensive. And so most people can grow wealth, and they do because they survive and they end up with something, right? Most people have something, whether it's a big enough nest egg for you, that's your thing. But it's about making sure that it doesn't go away. It's the protective side, the defensive side. And so there are things that you can do with insurances. There are things that you can do with certain investment instruments and real estate. There are things you can do with business interests. There are a lot of legal documents that you can create to protect. And what you're protecting against is, some health issue, or you die before you made all your money. But it could be other things like taxes. Estate taxes can really deplete an estate upon your passing. Income taxes. If there's a way to to save income taxes your whole life, that's a lot of dollars that now can go to your family or the causes that you care about rather than to the government. And some people like to divert that, right? It's like pull the lever on the train track and send the train this way. And so I get to do that. So these are tax strategies, they're legacy strategies, using insurance products, sometimes using buy-sell agreements in a business to make sure the business can sustain the death of a partner or a key individual in the business. Those are things that we can do. And it's amazing how just a couple of these tools, and they don't have to be expensive. A lot of them just need time. And time is your friend when you're planning, right? Different levers that we can pull at different seasons in life and different stages of a business to protect it so it can grow. And the same thing for family. It doesn't have to be just business interest.
So, we as adults, we tend to. Oh, I'm hearing an echo. One second.
I don't think it's my echo. Check
Yeah.
out.
One second here. Make sure I correct this really.
You sound good to me.
Okay. Does it sound okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So, what would you say is? You can discuss this a little bit because I've heard you talk about this before. What's the importance of financial literacy in shaping the economic future of the next generation? How important is that? And tell us some key elements to that.
Well, we don't need our children or young adult children to be experts at finance. They just need to understand the why. Of course, they might need to have, a few tips along the way with what tools to use or which ones to avoid, but they need to know the why. And one thing we did with our kids when they were little is we came up with a mission statement for the family. It's like, why are we here? Why are we stuck in this family? You don't get to choose your relatives all the time. Why are we together? And what do we want to accomplish as a team? That's huge. And so they grew up with, this is what we're doing together. I like to work with families. We'll do a family retreat when we're working on estate planning and generational wealth strategic planning. And we come together and we have a retreat and we go over the mission statement, the vision and the values, just like you would with any corporation. It's a family corporation, right? It's a family business. And if legacy is going to be sustainable, it has to have a purpose. It has to have that why. It has to have a little bit of how and a whole lot of what. Why, what, how. And so when we put that together in a family retreat, there's clarity of vision. Everybody gets on the same path, and they understand where we're going and what we're going to do with our purpose and with the wealth that we're amassing. And that's so much fun. A family constitution is great. What do we believe? What do we not believe? If this happened, how would we handle it? How do we make sure that we know that we're staying within the lanes of our family purpose as a group? And those are amazing. They're very simple to do. Sometimes it's just the discipline, somebody making you sit down and, herding the cats, getting all the relatives in the same room, and getting that done. But when it's done, you can always go back to that written word and say, this is who we are. This is what we're up to. This is how the money's going to go. Here's how we're going to grow it. Here's how we're going to preserve it. And here's what the purpose of it is for the future generations. This is our why. And those are so much fun to do. And that can be done with insurance. So imagine you bought an extra $1 million of insurance and you don't die until you're 99, or maybe let's make it 100, feels better. But when you die, there's an amount of money that's already set aside in an insurance policy, very simple. It could be in a trust, very simple. And the trust has a purpose to do what? Whatever it is that it's important to you. Make sure there's mission trips that are funded. Make sure that everybody has a down payment for their first house. Make sure everybody has something special at their destination wedding happen, right? Whatever your values are, and it might be music lessons, it might be soccer balls and soccer cleats. Whatever it is for you, you can set it up so that next generation never has to worry about money. Money isn't going to be the deal breaker to keep that vision from happening. That vision that you have for the future. So you can do that. It could be an insurance policy. It could be a trust that you set up and you put money aside in a trust with a purpose. You just let it grow. It could be a charitable trust. There are some charitable trusts that allow the money to come back to the family after the gifting has happened. And it's a way to give a whole lot more money to causes you care about in your family and a whole lot less to taxes. So many tools that we can use in the legal world, and so many levers that we can pull to make that happen. Is just starting with, what do we want to happen? Kind of a blueprint of our vision for the future. Isn't that cool? Oh, I can't
That
hear
is
you.
totally, yeah, that's totally very cool. It makes you think of a lot of things and additional questions to ask, right? But you talked about the importance of just the family dynamic, right? Unfortunately, when we talk about wills, when we talk about trust, sometimes that family unity becomes this family battle because everybody wants a piece of this, a piece of that, and nobody can agree on, right?
Yeah.
But I think when we're talking about this, what would you say is how should families really take a look at the approach and approach the topic of inheritance, right? And wealth distribution to make sure that their future, there's financial stability.
Well, you got to start with that purpose. I always say, if you start with the why, and it's really true. So if this is grandma and grandpa, and let's say they're in their 70s, the kids are in their mid 40s, 50s, and then their kids are now, coming of age. They're young adults. That's kind of a typical family where they're really thinking about what is our legacy going to be. Right now, we started a hamburger stand when we were 20. Now we've been doing that 50 years. We have all this money. The kids are in the CEO and the CFO of the business. How this happens. So how do we make sure it stays in the family, it stays healthy? How do we make sure there's some kind of financial savvy in those young adults that always had everything they ever wanted, right? Christmas was great. Birthdays were great. They never wanted for anything. They went to the best schools. They've always had money in their, ATM cards filled up. So how do we make sure that they have some sophistication around money and they're able to make good choices and not just be good spenders? That takes a discipline. You have to really pull yourselves out of the world and all the busyness of the day. How do we prepare these adults for a future? If they didn't have everything handed to them, could they stand alone? Do they know where to look? Do they know how to learn? Do they know how to manage what they have, and financially and otherwise? And a lot of times the answer is no. They need to learn that because they didn't have to struggle as kids. And we know there's power in the struggle. That's where we learn the lessons. That's where we learn what not to do next time. And people that grow up and don't have the struggle sometimes have a little bit of a handicap. And so part of my role when I'm working with these families is to help unhandicap them, help enable them, help empower them. A lot of times they might have, these young adults might have parents or grandparents that have very strong voices, very big shadows. And they grew up in the shadows and just kind of never really were heard. They never felt like they had that voice. So we give it to them. We empower them. And okay, now if you're going to have all this wealth handed to you, what do you want to do? What's your mission statement? So that is so fun to help people become empowered, learn what they need to know about finances and not make mistakes and just give it to the first person that shows them a really great venture capital plan. PowerPoint is like, oh, okay, here's $1 million, try that. When you have more, you become a little bit more of a target too. And people, there are these rats that climb out and they smell money. They smell people that are vulnerable and have access to cash. So you got to watch out for that. And that might be an art too, to learn how to recognize people that are for you and people that might just be kind of, looking for some coattails to hang on to or might take advantage.
So let me ask you this. What is maybe one past client, maybe a client that you're dealing with that you've been able to, and I know you've dealt with a lot of families over your career. How have you been able to bring them together when it comes to talking about their will and all of that? I think it would be a great example because I've heard you mention this before as well too. So I want folks to listen to. I wouldn't say it's for lack of a better word. You've been a mediator to get these families on the same page, right?
Yeah.
Instead of breaking each other, they're building each other. And I think that's great how you take that approach and some of the great advice that you can give us as well too.
Yeah. Well, there's two in mind. Yeah, I just had meetings with both of these. So one of them is a family that is very real estate forward. So they've got probably $50 million in real estate all over Hawaii and California and lots of places. And so they've done very well. They're actually second generation. The father of the husband started with some property and then they've just taken it to the next level. So now kids are coming of age. One of them is actually special needs and may not ever be a CFO or a CEO. We'll see. The other one is very capable, but he's a young adult, right? He's just getting ready for college. And so We have been working the last 10 years to prepare this young man, now this young adult son, for handling money, because he's going to handle a lot real quick as he matures, and how to handle real estate and how to do contracts. And doesn't mean he has to go to law school. Maybe he will. We don't know. He might just be a real estate mogul. Maybe he wants to be a doctor. Maybe he wants to be a pilot. We don't know. But as he matures into whatever he's going to do, one of the tools he will have is the real estate management skills. So for 10 years, we've been teaching about how stocks work, how bonds work, how real estate works, what you need to know about a contract, what you need to know about inspecting your property, getting the right contractors in, all of the things that dad knows and grandpa knew, getting him prepared to handle the wealth, letting him know who's for you and who's against you, what kind of a deep bench you want to have, of your professionals, your subject matter experts that help you with all the finances and all the business dealings. And so we've been helping him. He's very, very capable young man. He might not be ready for that kind of management, but he's not going to be working against himself. He's not going to self-sabotage, because he knows enough to know the questions to ask and when to just listen and get the right team in place. That's one family, young family, very interesting circumstances. Another family I'm working with right now, the same day, a couple of days ago, I had meetings with both of these back to back. And the other family, the parents in their 90s just passed away. So now we're dealing with 3 children that they left behind and left everything to. Of course, there's grandchildren that are benefiting. And so these 3 children, one is not capable at all. The other 2 are highly capable and married. And the one that's not capable, is not married, needs a lot of help. There's a history of addictive behavior. There's a history of just bad choices, not savvy with money at all. And if there is ever any money, it poofs. And so we're working on the distribution of this trust to make sure that we keep together that third child's, the one that doesn't have as much capability of managing, making sure that is, it's going to keep a roof over his head. It's going to keep groceries in the refrigerator. It's going to keep gas in the car, and he's going to be able to do his life and have it be enhanced, but not too much too soon. Because if you threw a few $1,000,000 at someone like that, how long will it last? Statistically, you know how it can go. And of course, all the friends show up and help, deplete that, because it's fun, right? It's fun for a little while till it's gone. And then you have your later years with nothing. And so we're putting together a plan with a series of investment vehicles and trusts, sub-trusts, to make sure that this person has a life enhanced by that wealth he's inheriting, but he doesn't become a spendthrift and have, heartaches at the other end, or hurt himself, right, by having too much. So those are some things that we can do using legal tools, insurance tools, investment tools. It's wonderful. But those are too fresh of my mind, just thinking about how the legacy, maybe it will grow, but it's more about protecting and preserving in both of these instances, making sure the mistakes don't make it go away, right? So it will be there for legacy purposes.
All right, and we're having way too much fun, and I just realized we're coming to the end of the show. Folks, you know what that means, right? Okay, it's our Money Truth Challenge, and I can't wait to hear what financial planning looks like in this challenge.
Yeah, legacy, right? Legacy. I think your challenge this week should be just think about what legacy you want. What's your why? If you already have a mission statement, maybe dust it off, upgrade it, update it if it's not already exactly where it needs to be. It can morph, over time. But really get solid in your why. If you're married, if you've got, kids, people you're doing life with that will be the beneficiary of your legacy. If it's causes you care about, think about them. But I would say that the exercise or the challenge is to consider what your legacy is about. What do you want to make sure that your children and their children, the causes that you care about, what do you want that sustainability to be for? What's it for? And how do you want that to go? So I think if you just, in this exercise, we'll go a little deeper next week. But in this exercise, just determine what your why is. And let's say 20 years, 50 years after you're gone, if there's still money there, what would it be for? Would that be important for you to be able to create that or sustain that? That's your challenge.
All right, you've heard the challenge, folks. And again, please, if you're not following Judy, do so at judykopenbarger.today. We will see you guys next Tuesday as well. And any last parting words, Judy?
Make it a great day, great week, great month. This is the beginning of an amazing year, and you can do it. This is going to be such a great year. I'm so excited.
All right. Until next time, you guys, we will see you here next Tuesday. Take care, Judy.
Bye-bye.